Good evening. Welcome to the Georgetown County School District School Board meeting this evening. We're starting a little bit different. We're very excited to have some students with us today, and we welcome all of our guests to this meeting as well. We will start the evening with the student-led Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to invite Miss Ashley Cameron, principal of Waccamaw Elementary School, and Miss Merritt Smith to come forward.
She's ready to go.
Oh, God.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chairman Gaskins, board members, Superintendent Price, district personnel, and guests. Miss Merritt Smith is currently a third grader at Waccamaw Elementary School who always has a smile on her face. Her bubbly personality and willingness to always lend a helping hand make her a joy to be around. She's a true shining star and was recently featured on our school's weekly show, The Dolphin News, as a co-host. Merritt has also achieved academic excellence by earning the Principal's Honor Roll for both first and second 9 weeks. She also represented Waccamaw Elementary in this year's district academic fair. It was indeed a proud moment when her and her team brought home the first place trophy. Merritt also has a twin brother at WES and enjoys playing soccer in her spare time. She is a true asset to our school family, and we love having her as one of our Dolphins. It is with great pleasure and pride that I introduce you to Miss Merritt Smith.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please bow your head for the moment of silence. Thank you.
Please give Merritt a round of applause. Next on our agenda, something very special. I'm going to call Miss Kathy Anderson to come forward with Board Proclamation for Music in Our Schools Month.
Thank you. Resolution. Whereas for more than 30 years, March has been officially designated by the National Association for Music Education, NAFME, as Music in Our Schools Month, encouraging communities across the nation to focus on music education. And whereas music education is part of a well-rounded education for every student as outlined in the Every Student Succeeds Acts, and whereas the purpose of this celebration is to raise awareness of the lasting positive impact of music education on the academic, personal, and professional growth of our students. And whereas music education shapes the way our students understand themselves and the world around them, allowing for a deep engagement with learning. And whereas Music in Our Schools Month reminds us that school is where all children should have access to music. And whereas music educators, students, and communities throughout South Carolina demonstrate the importance of quality music education programs to the lives of young people. Whereas the state of South Carolina joins our music students, educators, and communities in celebrating the power of music education. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Georgetown County School District does hereby proclaim on March 7th, 2023, March as Music in Our Schools Month, and encourages our citizens to celebrate and acknowledge every day, but especially in March, that music education is an essential part of every student's well-rounded education.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now for a very special treat, I'm going to call Mr. Mark Clack, the Assistant Marching Band Director at Waccamaw High School. Music in Our Schools. Welcome.
Thank you and good evening. Thank you so much for having me, Board and Mr. Keith Price. I very much appreciate it, and the proclamation that was drafted. Like he said, my name is Mr. Mark Claich. I am the Assistant Marching Band Director at Waccamaw High School, as well as the General Music Teacher at McDonald Elementary here down in Georgetown. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for this proclamation, because it does really put a smile on my face. March is a great time for us. My wife teaches at Waccamaw Middle School. She teaches chorus. And music is such an important part in not only our lives, but our students' lives and the community's lives as well. Some of our students come to school just for music class or any other visual arts class. And so for it to be recognized nationally and now here in Georgetown County Schools as well is such an amazing thing. And I would just like to give our board one round of applause for putting that proclamation together. Thank you so much. And so, in honor of Music in Our Schools Month, I've brought 2 students here from Waccamaw Middle School who will be performing the national anthem for us. Our first student is Hank Bisbee on alto saxophone. Hank is a 7th grade student at Waccamaw Middle School. And our second student is Mac Bauer, who is on trumpet and is also a 7th grade student at Waccamaw Middle School. Both of these students, although they are in 7th grade, participated with the Waccamaw High School Marching Band this past season, where Waccamaw did place 14th in the entire state of South Carolina in the 2A exhibition group. So in all of South Carolina, we have some great music programs here in Georgetown, Andrews, Carvers Bay, and Waccamaw especially. So we hope you enjoy our national anthem. If you could please stand for our national anthem.
That was exciting. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, another thing that's very special, and I'm going to call Dr. Myrtle Milton to come forward, recognizing the 2023-24 South Carolina Association for Educational Office Professionals. We have 4 of our Georgetown County staff members who were elected to be on the state board. So we are very excited. Dr. Milton. All the board? Okay. All the board.
Okay, Mr. Price, probably need to go on that end because he's going to present. Mr. Price. Good evening, Chairman Gaskins, board members, Mr. Price, cabinet members, guests, and family members. Also to our principals of our honored guests this evening. I am so elated to be able to come up before you tonight to present these recognitions. I actually attended the Greenville conference, and I was so proud to see all of our ladies get these distinguished recognitions. So I will go ahead and get started at this time. They're going to be receiving a certificate and some flowers on behalf of Georgetown County School District. In addition to that, Mr. Doug Jenkins have some vases of flowers there, and that is given by Daphne Smith, who is our local president, and myself. So I'm going to call your names one by one, and as I call your name up, please come up near Ms. Kibler. First, we're going to have Clarice McKnight. Clarice McKnight has been with Clarice McKnight has been with Georgetown County School District for 32 years. She currently serves as the Executive Secretary in the Information Technology Department. She is a charter member of 24 years of Georgetown County Association and 20 years with the state, and she has served 10 years nationally. This past February, Clarice was installed as the Vice President of the State Association. Congratulations, Clarice McKnight. And last year, she served as a secretary for the state. And Ms. McKnight, if you can remain standing in the corner, she's going to take a group picture. Next, we're going to have Sydney Rice. Sydney Rice has been with Georgetown County School District for 18 years, and she currently serves as the Senior Secretary Bookkeeper at Sampit Elementary School. She has been with the Georgetown County Association for 15 years, the state for 11 years, and national for 10 years. She was installed on February the 18th in Greenville as the SCAEOP Secretary for 23-24. Congratulations, Sydney Rice. Next, we have Sharon McLean. Ms. McLean has been with Georgetown County School District for 6 years. She is currently the Senior Secretary Bookkeeper at Waccamaw Elementary School. She has been with the association locally for 6 years, with the state for 6 years, and national for 3 years. She was elected and installed as the 2023-2026 website coordinator for the state. Congratulations, Ms. McLean. Claudia Cohen could not be with us tonight due to a scheduled vacation, but I've asked Tina Rice, who is a former state president, to come up and to accept on her behalf, and I'll still read Claudia's information so the public can hear. Claudia Cohen has been with Georgetown County School District for 25 years. She is a senior secretary at Carvers Bay Middle School. She's been with the association locally for 15 years, with the state for 13 years, and national 13 years as well. And she was installed in February in Greenville as the Area 15 Director for the state. Congratulations, Claudia, and thank you, Tina, for accepting on her behalf. While I'm standing, I would like to thank Mr. Price and the board members and all of our district supervisors and principals for the amazing support that you give to our members, allowing them to go to conferences, allowing them to have workshops, and allowing them to network. They do what they do so well because they get with other folks and they bring back things us, and they also take things there. So thank you, Mr. Price and the board members, as well as principals and family members, for supporting them as they continue to be empowered and to continue to grow. Congratulations again. One, two, three. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to ask all the other members to please stand, of the Georgetown County Association, please stand. Y'all come to the wing to the back of the picture, please.
that everybody? Okay. All right. Again on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Lift up.
Next up, Christy. Next on our agenda is public comments. Comments and requests should be brief and to the point as possible and shall not exceed 3 minutes and must not mention specific names of students or personnel. Public comments will be aired live, but the board typically will not respond to individual comments. And this evening, we have 2 cards. Megan Eckert.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. My name is Megan Eckert, and I'd like to just highlight a concern I have in regards to how GPA calculations are accomplished semester and yearly. Currently, it seems that HGTC coursework, because of when grades are available, are not calculated in yearly GPA. That means at the end of the year, when we give out C.B. Dobson Awards or graduation standing and scholarships, often the awardees are not in fact actually at that ranking. I know this firsthand because I saw this happen to my student. So I'd like you to consider taking a look at how those GPA calculations are affected by HGTC coursework and when those grades become available, given that we're turning to a magnet school and are encouraging more dual enrollment and partnership with HGTC. I think that this is a very important thing, especially with C.B. Dodson and graduation standing. We're honoring academic excellence and the true scope of a student's work, yet we're eliminating being able to really honor that true scope of work because we're not adding in the HGTC credits at the end of the year. If you take courses in a fall semester, that does end up in your yearly GPA, but anything you take in the spring semester does not end up in your yearly GPA. So the valedictorian in 2018 was not, in fact, even a salutatorian. And the salutatorian of that year, who was a Yale University and Princeton University acceptant student, wasn't honored as a valedictorian, nor was she able to achieve scholarships because her transcript didn't honor the HGTC coursework that she had committed to and completed that spring semester. So in light that we're going to have a technical scholars meeting in a few nights, I'd like you to be prepared to think about that because I'll be addressing that when I'm there as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Our next person is Jeremy Jackson.
Good evening to the Superintendent, Mr. Price, and to the board. We'd like thank you for this opportunity to address, present a petition to you. My name is Jeremiah Jackson from the NAACP branch in Andrews, alongside with other leaders in our area like Dr. Deshaun Rouse. We started a petition to get Mr. Mac Burgess to be the principal over there at the elementary school in Andrews. We believe that with Mr. Mac Burgess and his experience, we believe that he will bring the bridge the gap between our community and our schools. We believe that what he's done over the years with the young men wearing bow ties and the young women wearing pearls, that will bring and uplift the young kids in our area, their self-esteem. And we believe that with their self-esteem, it brings up our test scores, it improves the school, as a whole, and it trickled down over into our middle school and our high schools. And we believe that if he's in position to kick us off, because they said that is a proven fact that when you build a child's self-esteem, they perform better in school. And we believe with his prime example and what he has to offer, we believe that will be able to get us over that threshold with getting our kids at the proper education that they need and performing well on the elementary level, middle school level, and the high school level. And if there are any questions, I'll be staying over to answer any questions for you that you may have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, that ends our public comments. We're moving into the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as written?
So moved.
It's been moved in second. Any questions? Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. The next is the adoption of the minutes. The adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in second. Hearing, if all in favor of moving the agenda forward, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Moving forward with Dr. Bethany Giles, the administration recommends approval of the 2022-2023 high school course catalog revision as presented.
So moved.
It's been moved.
I have some questions. I'd like to understand.
Before we move into questions, let's go ahead and get a second, then we'll move into questions.
Second.
All right, it's been moved, and there's a second. Now, questions, Mr. DeBose.
I'd like to understand the process in terms of the credit requirements. Who establishes those? Where do they come from?
Good afternoon, Mr. Gaskins, members of the board, Mr. Price, district administration, and our GCSD family. To answer your question, Mr. DeBose, our requirements come from our State Department, as well as our legislatures that determine what we require for graduation. During this time of year, for example, we're approaching our 23-24 school year. Our schools have flexibility to request certain courses that may not currently be in our course catalog. We review those and determine if they fit within our standards, and then we propose that upcoming, our 23-24 catalog. This catalog is slightly behind because it's revisions based upon suggestions by our State Department.
And how many hours is a credit? What does that translate to?
Okay, so one credit is typically one credit. We can have a half credit, which is a 0.5 unit, and that equates to the amount of courses that are required for graduation.
It doesn't relate to a specific number of hours that a student will get? In other words, one credit in math isn't so many hours in math?
No, sir. I think you're thinking like the college, 3 hours is like one class. No, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Are there any other questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Thank you, Dr. Giles. Contract award for construction management services for miscellaneous projects. The administration recommends approval of a contract award for construction management services utilizing a guaranteed maximum price contracting method for LED lighting upgrades, ladder, steps for roofs, and miscellaneous drainage projects, as defined in the attachment in your board notes, and associated with the bond referendum to MBCon Construction, Incorporated from Columbia, South Carolina. Furthermore, the board authorizes the superintendent to execute the contract amendment on behalf of the board. The project will be funded through savings accrued from the bond referendum. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, I call for the questions. I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Policy BCB, the board officer's method of election. The administration recommends second and final reading approval for policy BCB, board officers' method of election as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, now for questions.
I think that I would like to see that wording made more emphatic as the intent of the board to convey that. So, for instance, I would like to propose that it read board chairpersons and board members are, and insert the word strongly, engaged to limit board chair terms to 4 consecutive years in order to promote variety and prevent complacency.
I was going to suggest taking it out. If we're not going to just make a decision to do so, then, encouraging somebody to do something in policy, I just don't see what it benefits to encourage somebody. Either we're going to make the decision to say, hey, your term is limited to 2 years, or we just take that suggestion out.
Could the board live with removing that?
It's just a suggestion.
Or, Mr. DeBose, his suggestion, would you read your suggestion again?
Sure. Board chairpersons and board members are strongly inserted in front of encouraged to limit board chair terms to 4 consecutive years in order to promote variety and prevent complacency. Which my understanding was that was really what we were trying to do, and instead of trying to get the legislature to give us the authority to do that, we were going to have it worded in such a way as to convey the board's wishes.
Right.
And that to me is just sort of weak.
Question for clarification. You said 4 consecutive years. This says no more than 2 consecutive 2-year terms.
Is that different from 4 consecutive years?
Well, if I may answer, just Chairman Gaskins, Mr. Price, members of the board, good evening. The chairperson and the other officers of the board are 2-year terms as opposed to a board member, which is a 4-year term. So if you're limiting board officer positions to two terms, that would be 4 years. But if you're limiting board positions, which I think you said in there, and board members, that would be a different wording. So if you're looking at just board officers in general, 2 consecutive 2-year terms is 4 years, but that's certainly up to you all.
Yeah. Then I would split what you said, because you inserted board members along with the board chair, and I think those are 2 separate issues. Means the same thing, but because it's what Ms. Lindsay Ann Thompson just said, I think you have to separate it.
You would keep both in there, or you would take both out?
Well, I find a problem with the word encourage, because encourage is just a word of, okay, probably, maybe, but you got folks on the board that, because of maybe their commitment to the chair at that time, well, I'll vote for them again. So I think that there need to be another word other than encourage.
Recommended?
Recommended.
Go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
Yep, Ms. Johnson.
The voters could do that, because if they vote somebody out after their 2-year term, then, that's going to kind of solve the problem.
Yeah, that will solve the problem, definitely.
If that comes into play.
So I'm not sure, that we need to, even say that.
So you're just leaving that line out? Is that what you're suggesting, Ms. Johnson?
I think maybe that's what I'm suggesting. Ms. Hamill has.
Ms. Hamill?
I think the board members vote every 2 years. So I think better off leaving it out than putting encouraged to it if that's the way we want to do it, because I mean, the board has the chance to say, we need a new chairperson. The voters have a chance to say, we need a different board member representing either our district or at large. But then we as a board have a chance to vote to say, we do not want that chairperson again. It's not an automatic that the same chairperson gets selected at the end of each 2-year period.
It has been.
So I'm not sure that encourage helps anybody if they were trying to get the board to vote for them to stay. I just think it's, if we can't say emphatically that we can't have two-year terms and that's it, I think we're better off just leaving it alone.
I tend to agree. Since we can't say it emphatically, we might, maybe it should be removed.
So that.
Then it sounds to me like we're ignoring the reason we put it in there.
I know, we are.
Last time we talked about it.
Yeah, we are. I don't like the wording encouraged.
How about recommended?
I could live with recommended.
I would settle for strongly recommended.
I think it sets, I think the word recommended, I think the reason why we have that in there is so that when we do have different board chairs come, they see the policy and they recognize that, they recognize the intent that we want the turnover, that we want to have the new ideas periodically, and that we don't want it to be the same over and over, so that when a new board person comes in, they see that. So I think that's kind of why we have that in there.
I think that was the
Yeah.
intent at the
That was
beginning.
That was the intent.
What I'm hearing here is we would like to see a different person in the seat, and we all adults here. If I'm in that seat 4 years, it's up to Randy. If you nominated me again, so.
Is this something that we might want to table and have further discussion about? And come back with recommendation? Do we need to make a motion to table this?
If we're not going to,
There's we got to.
We need to have
We need to vote on the motion that's on the floor.
and the motion on the floor was to adopt it as amended, as
As it
presented.
is written.
Okay.
All right, well, I will call the question. All in favor of moving forward with as it is written, please do so by voting yea. All in favor of not moving forward, but nay.
No.
All in favor, say nay.
No.
No.
All opposed, all opposed. All right. Okay. All right,
So then if we could just take a second, if you wouldn't mind, just if somebody would make a motion that we're going to table it and revisit it, is that
Yes.
is that where we are?
Yes.
Just,
all right. So,
and do we want to bring it back at the next meeting for another reading, or are we leaving it for a while? I just want to make sure I'm doing whatever you all wish.
Yeah.
Well, that's an idea. We need a little more time to.
yeah, we
revisit
do need time to revisit it.
That's right.
Okay.
Maybe we'll group up, 2 or 3 will get together and look at it together.
Okay, all right, so we'll just, if you all would vote to table it, or if you choose to vote that way, and then we'll bring it back at the next meeting and let you all think about it in the next 2 weeks.
We need to make a motion to table it, correct?
We'll go ahead and do it. I'm not sure that it's extreme, I don't know that it's necessary, but let's do it just for.
Okay, we'll do it. Is there a motion to table this?
I move that we table it.
Yes, okay, it's been moved, it has been second.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. I got it right. All right, thank you. The next is board member policy BCB, board off, nope, I'm sorry.
You're right.
Policy 8BHD, board member compensation expenses. The administration recommends second and final reading approval of policy BHD, board member compensation and expenses as presented. Is there a motion to move forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and it was second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, I call for the questions. All in favor of moving forward, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Policy GCLE, unencumbered time. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy GCLE as presented.
So this is the same policy that we brought to you as an information item at the last meeting. This is just the policy, though. We also included the administrative rule in our information items, but because the administrative rule only requires one reading and the policy requires two to kind of get them back in line with one another, we're just asking that you approve the policy tonight for first reading, and then we'll bring back the rule next time for first and final reading, and that way we won't have a rule hanging out there without a policy that attaches to it.
Okay.
And again, this is the School Boards Association model policy. Essentially, the underlined words are what GCSD administration has recommended to add. Very, very slight changes to what the School Board Association recommended, which is almost verbatim from the state law as it's written.
Is there a motion to move forward?
Moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
Second. Are there any questions? All in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Policy AE, School District Goals and Objectives. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy AE as presented.
And on this one, just to be clear, the top part with the strike-through language is our current policy. The next portion with the underlined language is the kind of what we're recommending so that we can get in line with what we'll need for our Cognia accreditation process. And then if you look at the very bottom, the red strike-through and red underline language is different than what we brought you at the information item 2 weeks ago. But it's very similar. It just clarifies that the district will bring back the strategic plans for review to the board when that's necessary. So we kind of tinkered with it a little bit over the last 2 weeks, and that red part is what's been changed from 2 weeks ago.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Policy BBAA, School Board Legal Status, Board Member Authority. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BB/BBAA as presented.
Yes, sir. In this policy, the only change that is recommended is that underlined language. Everything else is what we currently have. The underlined language is nothing more than a suggestion that would get us a little bit closer to what the model policy looks like. Certainly not a requirement that it be in there. It's just a suggestion, but not required by law that statement be there.
Okay. Is there a motion to move forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Policy BBA, School Board Powers and Duties. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BBA as presented.
Yes, sir. In this policy, we did this one a little bit differently because our policy while substantively very similar to the model policy from the School Boards Association, it looks different than the model policy. They basically say the same thing, and you're not going to go wrong if you leave your policy the way it is. But if you scroll down, Ms. Giller, thank you, to go up, wherever the break is, there was a line at the top of the third page. Yes, ma'am, thank you. What's below that is the model policy language from the School Boards Association. Again, very similar substantively to what you have, it just looks different. I think my recommendation is to go with the model policy. I think it's a little bit clearer, a little bit more comprehensive, but there's nothing illegal or wrong about what you have currently, if that makes sense.
So before voting, we need to decide which one we want to go.
Right, if you want to, and that's yes, I think so. If you want to go with what you currently have, or if you want to go with the model policy version that's after the line break.
Will the motion need to be changed, or?
No, because we're recommending what's under that line break. That's what the recommendation is.
Okay, so the recommendation is from the line break.
Yes, sir, and I apologize for the confusion, but yes, sir, that is the recommendation.
All right, just clarification.
That's my fault.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion is carried.
Okay, and for the next board meeting, when we bring it back for second reading, I'll go ahead and do the strike-through language and the underlined language to make sure that we're clear on what you're adopting. That's my fault for not making that as clear as it should have been.
All right, policy BBB, school board election. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BBB as presented.
The only thing we're changing here is that you reviewed it this year. We are not recommending any revisions, mainly because all of the language there comes verbatim from our local legislation. So we're only recommending that we review it and make no changes.
Okay. Is there a motion to move forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Policy BBBA, board member qualification. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BBBA as presented.
In this policy, we have added the language that would bring us in line with the model policy from the School Boards Association, but similar to the other policy that we discussed, there's nothing wrong or illegal about what you currently have. Just adding the underlined language beefs it up a little bit and makes it more like the model policy. That's all.
Okay. Is there a motion to move forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and second. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Policy BBBB, oath of office. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BBBB as presented.
Yes, sir. In this policy, we have just struck that first phrase about after the first board meeting following a school board election, simply because several weeks ago you all voted that you might like to have or at least you would like to have the ability to have a swearing-in ceremony. So to make the language consistent with having a swearing-in ceremony versus being sworn in at the first school board meeting, we kind of just tweaked the language a little bit there.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to move forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion is carried. And our final action item is policy BG, board staff communication. The administration recommends the first reading approval of policy BG as presented.
Yes, sir. Again, the language that's under the break is the recommended language. That's the revision that we're recommending. The language above that is what you currently have, same as the rest of them. There's nothing illegal or wrong about what you have in the first half. It's just that the second half is more comprehensive and is what is recommended by the School Boards Association.
Okay. Is there a motion to move forward?
So move.
Been moved.
Second.
And second, are there any questions?
I have a question on that on the very last paragraph, what is the intent of that? Is it strictly at social functions, or how would that apply?
I think outside of, yes, or in the social setting, and I think it's under that social interaction heading. That's a good question, but unless you're convened at a school board meeting, you have no authority to take any action, and it would be unethical to be discussing board member topics outside of a board meeting. So if you just are at, let's say, the legislative breakfast where you're all duly convened and we've noticed this will be there, it still wouldn't be a proper place to discuss personnel matters or individual grievances at that time.
But if someone was to approach you with an issue that they had that wasn't currently being discussed by the board, would it be appropriate to at least listen?
Well, that comes back to what your role as a board member is, and sometimes it is appropriate to listen to your constituents, of course, and find out what their concerns are. But when they are talking about specific personnel matters or specific grievances, it may not be proper for you to hear what they have to say, because you would then be potentially your opinion might be tainted later in any sort of formal proceeding, and you may have to recuse yourself. So that's a case-by-case decision that you have to make. I know that you want to be responsive to your constituents, but you also don't want to have to recuse yourself at a later date. So that's a individual decision that you kind of have to make on the fly. Unfortunately, it's not prohibited, for you having those discussions, but you do have to kind of use some judgment there in those determinations.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Moving forward to board superintendent comments or requests.
I just wanted to say, I actually looked through the high school catalog when it first came through, and I really liked the revisions. I don't know how they were before then, but I liked the addition of many of the topics. Some of them are financial literacy, some of them are public speaking. There's so many of them that I think are interesting. They seem to help make the student more well-rounded, and it also gives them more choices in terms of electives and different courses to take. So I'm excited about it, and I think the committee did a good job putting those revisions together.
I just wanted to say something. I had somebody call me yesterday with good news, just praising our ROTC programs, especially Georgetown High. And she mentioned how well those students are doing academically and what they're looking forward to after they graduate, and how the programs at Andrews and Carvers Bay are moving forward in a positive way. So I just wanted to share that with y'all.
Oh, and we're excited about having that ROTC program come to Waccamaw.
Yes.
It's a big plus.
Definitely. So it's all good things. It was nice to get a positive phone call, so that was all good.
Yeah. And I had the opportunity to visit 3 schools yesterday, Sampit, Andrews High School, and Rosemary. It's exciting to see kids engaged in learning. It was kind of fun to be there, to be in schools, to see kids. It makes it real for us.
You missing being a teacher?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I attended the Black History celebration at Browns Ferry, and it was outstanding.
Awesome.
And that they need to really be commended, because those kids were terrific. It was obvious that everybody involved put in a lot of work, and it was just outstanding. That's the only word I can. You were there too, Randy. It was great.
Very talented.
Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Last month, 8th graders from GCSD had the opportunity to attend the Pathways to Possibilities Career Expo held at the Myrtle Beach Convention Center. And students were able to explore different careers, speak with potential employers, and practice with hands-on applications in career fields from all of the career clusters available to them. This was such an outstanding event as it exposed our students to so many different options that they may not have considered before, and this will assist them as they begin crafting their individual graduation plans with their counselors beginning high school. I'm so thankful to the Bunnell Foundation for coordinating this event that served over 8,000 students from 10 different counties. So special thanks to the Bunnell Foundation for making that possible. Congratulations to Georgetown High School and Waccamaw Middle School for winning this year's version of the Senior and Junior Academic Bowls. The individual high scores also came from these two schools. In the Senior Bowl, Josh Fulton from Georgetown High tied with William Goldstein from Waccamaw High in scoring 12 points. At the Junior Bowl, it was Banks Harden from Waccamaw Middle who scored 28 points in the competition. Congratulations to all of the talented academic competitors for representing your schools so well. And finally, please mark your calendar for April 3rd, as we will have our very first Magnet Information Night for interested parents here at J.B. Beck from 5:30 to 7 o'clock p.m. Each of the 5 magnet schools will be here to share information about their programs and answer questions from parents who are considering these options. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. The next thing on our agenda is executive session regarding legal advice regarding new and pending lawsuits against the district, discussion of personnel matters involving discipline of a staff member, discussion of personnel matter involving termination of a staff member. Is there a motion that we go into executive session?
So moved. Second.
It's moved and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. We are now in executive session. Okay, is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion is carried. The next thing on our agenda is the personnel list. The administration recommends approval of the personnel list as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is it? Okay, it's been moved and it's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion is carried, and we are now adjourned.
All right.